Hey guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. Thanks so much for stopping by as always. This video is going to be an announcement for a new series that I'd like to do on my YouTube channel. I've done a lot of thinking about this and how to get my YouTube channel back into the swing of things without doing, kind of joking videos and do something a little more serious for people that actually enjoy my channel. And one of the things I really enjoyed doing back when I was still a part of the website of Foo Novel was podcast episodes, and I did about 13 episodes, and I will link down in the comments section below the Mixcloud for all the podcast episodes I did, not only with individuals about what they do, for example, Invert Mouse and all the games he does, but other people like Binary Fail, who's a fantastic hacker and is a great asset to the VN community. Many different people that I kind of interviewed, in addition to all the podcast episodes that are loaded for the FooCast. And so what I wanted to do here is kind of bring that back on my YouTube channel, and I wanted to take volunteers, you as my subscribers, to help me out in this. Now, I know a lot of people may not be interested in speaking on a podcast episode, and I understand that. But that's okay, because one of the best things about this is that you don't need to participate in the podcast episode necessarily, because you can submit your own questions. There are many different topics I've written down here on this sheet of paper I have, just from anything that we can talk about. Now, obviously, a lot of this will be otaku themed or Japanese anime or animation themed, but I mean, there's really, the sky's the limit. There's really just so many different possibilities. These are just some of the examples I listed down in no particular order. I just list them at the top of my head. Visual novels, anywhere from licensing visual novels, translations of visual novels, tools on visual novels, localizing visual novels, the medium as a whole. I know there's a lot of people that have done blog entries as to what actually makes a visual novel in their mind. Where do we get the term visual novel? The VN versus PC game. In Japan, you say visual novel, they're not going to have any idea what you're talking about. Maybe a little more now, but probably not. I mean, PC game is what they're called, and because they're actual video games. So how does that differ from what we think of as a PC game, and how does that relate to what Japan thinks a visual novel is and what we think a visual novel is? Cultural differences to Japanese animation. How do we view differences in culture, laws, anything you can think of that relates to Japanese animation and your viewpoint on it? Tropes, figurines, local cuisines, cultural food. It doesn't need to necessarily be about animation. It can also be about, just localizing cuisines. And it doesn't even need to be about Japan necessarily. I mean, we could talk about different cuisines all over the world. I love talking about food. Who wouldn't like talking about food? A little bit of variety and flavor there. Anime. I don't really want to focus so much on the anime, and I put that as a maybe with a question mark because there's so many channels that devote to anime discussions, and I don't really want to make this another podcast episode for anime discussions because it's not really what my channel's about. So I'll try to avoid that one a little bit. Not so much into the anime, but Otaku Hobbies, travel. Anyone who likes to travel, not only just Japan, but all over the world. Language. Big one for me. Put a big star by this. Big exclamation point. Absolutely love language. I could talk about it for 5 hours. I don't even care what language we're talking about. It's the most interesting in the world. For anyone else that's really interested in language, I think that's an awesome topic. It could be about Japanese language if you really want it to be. It can be about any language necessarily, comparing it to other languages, and so many different options there. Talking about pornography and differences between pornography. I've had podcast episodes myself about that. Well, kind of fireside chats, I guess. Lolicons in general, in the lolly industry. Fetishes. Buying otaku goods around the world. Where do you shop? What are some of the best websites you can use? Voice acting and animation, not only for dubs, but also for the subs as well. There's another one too. Subbing anime. How do you sub anime? Not just anime, but anything really. Manga translations. I'm just coming up with ideas on the spot. Manga translations, the whole translation scene between manga and light novels, etc. So many different options there. And the tools and the resources that are necessary for that. Idols, original English language visual novels, Otome VNs, Steam games that are anime themed. They don't necessarily need to be a visual novel, but like games like Neptunia that are on Steam, games that have come over, even Japanese video games, comparing that to today. RPGs, it can be anything from, what are the other ones? Not just RPGs, they've got, mobile games, pachinko machines. Yeah, I don't even care what it is, It can really be anything. Conventions. People who really like to attend conventions all over the United States or just other countries. What are your conventions like? I know my friend had a convention in Portugal, and it's completely different than what Anime Expo might be like, or any type of convention all over the world. I mean, these are just some of the thousands of, well, not thousands, but lots of topics I've come up with. I mean, there's so many different options, and what I'd like you guys to do as subs is please leave comments in the comments section, or feel free to private message me on YouTube if you know how. Not only if you are interested in volunteering or providing questions that we can use for material once I get some volunteers, but also just ideas that pop into your head. I will definitely be keeping note in all the comments section here and keeping track of everything, because I really want to pick up this podcast episode again. I mean, we've done 13 episodes of it. It's something that I'm really proud of. We've done a lot of work on it. And while it may not be focused so much on fua novel anymore at this point, it can be focused really on just anything that doesn't need to always be animation. While it's heavily themed on that, like I said, you have the, anything from travel to language to conventions to, voice acting to just really anything. There's so many different options and so many different tools out there. So if there's a topic that you'd like to see, please feel free to mention it. And if you have ideas for questions we can ask during the podcast episode, of course. Now, what I'm looking for as well, in addition to ideas, is volunteers who would like to volunteer for the podcast episodes. If you are interested, please leave comments in the comment section as well. I'd be more than happy to message you personally and give you a Skype that you can add me on. And then if you want to talk over Skype, even in text chat, if you aren't comfortable doing the voice chat, I mean, obviously, if you're going to be in a podcast episode, I'd hope you'd be at least comfortable speaking. But just many different options, and I don't really care who it is. Anyone can come out and do it. There's so many, interviews and all these things coming out, and I want more media to be exposed to this industry, because I think this is a good idea. I really have a guy who'd love to probably edit these videos, and we can get awesome videos on my YouTube channel. And it's a great topic to do before I actually head back to Japan next year. I'll be probably leaving around March, if not March, by the early summer, depending on my budget. And I'll be going back and I'll be working again. So more blog videos will be coming out. I have many different ideas that I missed last time, including a bunch of requests that I still have written down. So I'm really excited about that. But that's not for another year, so no rush on that really that much. But that will be coming back eventually. But I do want to do something a little more bulky on my channel that's going to interest people. And I think podcast episodes are awesome. So, and I don't really want it to be traditional podcast episodes where you're familiar with, for example, well, let's talk about an anime and discuss it and I'll rate it. And that's not what I want my channel to be about. I'm not a reviewer. I don't want to review something. I want to discuss something with other people. And I want to do it in a way that people are going to be interested in it. So if I can get a group of people that want to volunteer for all the podcast episodes, please let me know. Otherwise, I'm always willing to take additional volunteers who feel they're adequate in the topics that we are going to present. I'll obviously, if this does become a thing, make more videos about how I want to go forward in episodes, and I'll announce them on my YouTube channel to say I'm looking for volunteers specifically for this one if we don't have enough. Preferably, I'd say a podcast episode of about 3 people. 3 to 4 people is probably the max, unless there's like some big topic that a lot of people could talk about. And even if you aren't part of a podcast episode, as I mentioned, volunteer to submit questions. Maybe we have 3 people that want to talk about, for example, travel, and you have some questions you want to submit. And, during the podcast episode, we can say, so-and-so user XSword99 says, what is your favorite place to travel? What are some things you enjoy? Any kind of question that you have from viewers. You don't need to speak if you're uncomfortable doing so, and a lot of people can answer the questions. So, yes, everyone can participate. I think it's an awesome idea. If you are interested, please leave comments on ideas and leave comments for volunteering as well. I'd love to have a few people. If it ends up just being a tight niche group of like 3 people and 2 people volunteer, fine. We could do that. We can come up with awesome topics. Not every one of these topics has to be covered, but these are just some ideas. Obviously, if you have more ideas, as I mentioned. So thanks, guys, for listening to this video. This is an awesome idea. I really want to go forward with this. I think it will be something that we can really make use of. I will definitely, of course, upload everything to Mixcloud as I was before, in addition to all my YouTube channel videos being up for podcast episodes. And what we can try to do, too, is if we need to split the parts to make the podcast episodes a little bit shorter, we can do that. But for the most part, we'll try to keep it. We'll talk about length. We'll talk about all that. That's all getting way ahead of myself. But, yeah, I'm looking for some volunteers. I really want to know if people are interested in this. And if this gets enough hits and enough support and enough people pushing towards it, then we'll definitely go forward with this. And if maybe I don't even need to run the podcast necessarily. I mean, if you're comfortable running a podcast episode and you feel you want to be the host of something because it's a topic you're really adamant about and you have a bunch of questions you want to know, then you can host it too. There's so many different ideas. It's meant to be a collective of episodes, not just, here's Ren presenting it. I mean, I'd love to do that, but I also want other opinions as well. I'm definitely working on trying to get a little more content and bulk into my YouTube channel for people to be more interested in it. So hopefully this is a good idea. Hopefully some people are interested in it. Hopefully it's a little bit different than what you're used to, and it's not just me kind of reviewing or watching a YouTube episode or something and kind of just commentating on it. A little bit different there, because I really like doing those podcast episodes, and it could be about anything. It doesn't need to be about these topics. If you want to talk about airplanes, okay, fine, let's talk about airplanes. I'd like to keep it, like I said, a little more otaku themed, because that is what my channel's all about, but feel free to give me any suggestions. So guys, that's pretty much all I got for this video. Thanks so much for listening. As I mentioned, I will keep repeating myself over and over again. Give me suggestions, everything you got, and I'd love to hear everything you have. And with that, we'll be signing out of this video. Please spread the word as well for people to check out this video. I definitely want to talk about all these different topics, and I want people to be interested in it, even if they just want to throw a comment as an anonymous person. I don't care, whatever you want to do. So looking forward to it, guys, and looking forward to your suggestions, and we'll go from there. All right, guys, thanks so much for watching, and we'll catch you in the next video. See ya.